So if you're trying to bleed your clutch system, and or you have a clutch pedal that is not returning back up to the top, or it feels very sticky, has slow engagement, what typically it'll end up being, as this gentleman here found out, was the brake fluid not being replaced over a duration of time deteriorated the brake line, and inside you end up getting typically gunk that looks similar to this. Inside your slave cylinder, there's a little piston that sits inside here, has two O-rings and a spring. Sometimes the spring can break, or those O-rings get gunked up and the piston is not able to retract out all the way. It should come out past this metal housing here, and for demonstration purposes, I'll push the piston in all the way. It should go in pretty smooth, and you can see how slowly it's returning out there. So it should spring back quite quickly, and we're unfortunately not getting that here. We're still waiting for it. The piston's only about here. Let's push it back in. Again, should come back out pretty quick, but it's not. So what we'll end up doing from here, I'll have him hop in the car, push the clutch in, and then this piston will pop out. Make sure you got some rags, because you will get a lot of brake fluid, and do it real slow, because it'll see. There we go, perfect. Give me one more. Yeah, pull it back up and do it one more time. All right, perfect. That's good. Go. So now after here, we'll pull this piston out, we'll clean it up. You can use some Scotch-Brite or some sandpaper inside the housing and on this piston. Make sure it's free, smooth, and sometimes I even use Freol on the inside, again, to condition the seals and lubricate it. And then after you get this back in, you'll take your screwdriver, you'll open this bleed valve, push the piston all the way back in, close the bleed valve, remove the screwdriver, and this piston will cause the vacuum to pull the fluid through, and you'll bleed out all the air. And you'll need to do this maybe about 4 or 5 times, and then this piston will extend out to the point where it's at now, and it should move freely. So let's give this a go. If you're having difficulty getting the piston out, just crack the bleeder and it should come right on out. So go ahead and grab it and kind of wiggle it out there. Piston honestly looks pretty dry, honestly. Alright, so go ahead, we'll pull this out, maybe grab some more paper towels. Alright, so the spring looks to be in fair condition. The piston and seals look to be alright, but they are quite gummed up, as you can end up seeing there. And they're supposed to be flared out more. This one on the front bevel is a bit compressed. Sometimes you can find these pistons and O-rings, but typically they'll try to sell you a whole new slave cylinder. Yeah, this stuff smells like shoe polish, or I don't know, that smells real weird. So we'll go ahead, get this cleaned up. Typically we'll hit this with some parts cleaner, some Freol, and then make sure the inside doesn't have any rust, oxidation, pitting, and get this gunk out as best as we can. Reinstall it. Again, we'll use a screwdriver, push it in, close the bleeder, let the vacuum or the pressure pull the fluid through, and then we'll repeat that cycle over. After removing the piston, we notice no fluids coming out, and inside the cylinder here it's completely dry. Sometimes rust, debris, contamination, whatever will end up getting stuck in these orifices. They're about the size of a pen tip, so we may need to end up getting rid of this dampening spring, remove it out, clean it up, and use some parts cleaner to blow through this to try to conserve this slave cylinder. It's in fair shape for the most part, so we'll recondition it. And then as you take off this back bolt, as you can end up seeing, you have orifices there. You can see inside kind of the gunk contamination. Same thing here. It does have a little rubber baffle in the back, but if you look close enough, all that gunk varnish is built up inside. So go ahead, get the stuff cleaned up, reassemble it, make sure your O-ring's good in good condition, not pinched. You even asked what type of grease would we use. We'll use a silicone base, like a dielectric grease, similar to what they put on the spark plugs, and you can pick up a small pack of it if you need. rather than having to buy an expensive tube. And we'll just get all this stuff cleaned up with parts cleaner, re-lube everything up, reassemble it, and we should be good. Alright, so I went ahead and unbolted it so I can give you guys a little bit better of a look. This is back from the relief diaphragm. This is from the actual actuation. You can see you got a small little orifice hole down in there where the fluid comes through. Again, you can see all the gunk and other shit that's down in there. So we'll go ahead and turn this upside down, shake that out. As you can see, you got a little piston in there. It ends up actuating with this thing, and that shit looks gnarly. Alright. Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty fucking crummy. Here's our recording. Alright, so here on your slave cylinder, obviously you have your mounting bolts here, and then you have your actual piston and pin and spring that sits within inside the diaphragm. Then you have your relief actuator. This pretty much helps multiply the amount of pressure going through this. So we went ahead, took off our bleeder screw right here, and our the clutch line goes into here. So we'll just go ahead and spray out these orifices. They're very small passages, so it's very easy for them to get gummed up and contaminated. Recommend sprays away from me as best you can so that doesn't happen. Just all that shit you can see there on the towel. Yeah, they can't be cheap and they're hard to find. So after you put your spring, your little yellow cap facing that way, then your relief valve diaphragm, lube up your O-ring, make sure to put that back in there. Same thing with your actual piston diaphragm here. But just to kind of prove a point, I want to show you my big old meat clogs. I mean, it literally just bounces right back. This is how it should be. As you seen earlier, even with hydraulic pressure inside of it, the thing didn't even want to move at all. So here we go. We just saved this guy 300 bucks and went to go tune his car, and he paid me. He was a decent customer, and I drove 3 hours out here to come help him get this fixed. So we're getting it fixed. Alright, so after you get your slave cylinder back in there, go ahead and start fingering the thing, and you'll notice it starts to get a little bit more resistance. Obviously have your bleeder valve closed, otherwise you're just going to pull air. And there we go, it's already springy, it's already getting resistance, already pulling a little bit of fluid. So that's good. Alright, now here's for the fun part.
Yeah, I'm hoping I don't go.
Alright, so this is how you bleed it. You get your screwdriver with the bleeder closed, or actually open that bleeder.
Okay.
Alright, now close it. Yeah, that's good. And then you just wait. Let this slowly come back out. You can use your screwdriver as a measurement or get your finger down in there. It'll take a couple, maybe 2 or 3 primes before you get the actual initial air out of it, but then from there, the piston will start to push out. So go ahead and open up the bleeder. And then I'll push the piston right back out. Alright. And then go ahead and close it again. And sometimes it'll take a while because, again, it has to work through. Make sure that clutch pedal's pulled up as well, if you don't mind. Alright. So now we got fluid coming out there. You can see that rag getting wet. Alright, go ahead and close it. And then we just let it do its thing. Sorry for my Parkinson shimmers. Alright, that should be good. Go ahead and open her. was it? Need a 13, a 12, and a pair of pliers. So obviously here's your clutch pedal. Here's your neutral clutch release switch. This allows you to start the car. Obviously when the clutch is pressed in, it depresses that detent there. There's two 13mm crush nuts there. This goes all the way over as an armature, and as you can see where that pin is right here, that's where it connects to the master clutch cylinder. There's a 12mm crush bolt down beyond here inside this armature piece, and you release that, back your clutch safety neutral position switch out, and then you adjust this out. Typically you want a tiny little bit of preload, something right around there, not a whole lot, just the first initial bit of engagement till you actually feel it engaging the clutch itself. So after you're done, just tighten down that crush nut there, and you're all good to go. Alright, so you can see the piston is all the way at the very end there, so we'll just go ahead and take our dust boot and pin, slide it back in there, and match it up there with the clutch fork. But again, this should go in and out pretty quick, fair, and easy. As you can see, sorry, you're right. It goes out smoothly, and you can see how I said it comes all the way to the end. It may protrude out just a little bit. Typically, that's what you want. And typically, after bleeding these, I typically will manually actuate them once or twice. Push the fluid all the way back through. Just because it's a very small line, you can hear a tiny little bit of air going through it or whatnot. So you'll notice each time it'll get just a little bit more, but this won't pop out or anything as long as you don't go hit the clutch. Alright, quick recap. You got your master clutch slate or master clutch reservoir over here, and then obviously connects up to the brakes, goes down to your hard line and to your slave cylinder. Slave cylinder has a piston, has a spring. Your pressure reducer, or I guess it's technically an increaser, the diaphragm in here, just got a little spring, little plastic piece, and then the diaphragm inside of it, and the bolt and O-ring. Just bleed that. Again, take your screwdriver, open the bleeder valve, push it in, close the bleeder valve, wait for the screwdriver to extend out. When it's fully extended out, do the same thing, open the bleeder, push it in, close it, extend out. Do this multiple times. After you're done, just go ahead and give it a couple of pushes in. The fluid will rise on the reservoir, and just make sure you don't hear any little bubbles or noises. So from there, again, go ahead and push your pin in, match it up to the fork here on the clutch, which, oh god. Alright, so